I've been communicating with the angels like my entire life since I can remember, which was about the age of 3. And there was a period of my life where I didn't communicate with them. Like I had highly psychic abilities, but I lost my communication with my spiritual guides. And then there was like this, just all this stuff happening in my very early 20s where I just reconnected with them full force. And I went and studied with a lot of really amazing teachers and like world-renowned teachers, which is really cool. But since then, I've been doing angel readings for a time in my career. That's all that I did. Not all. I've always done energy, kinesiology, energy healing work too. But since then, I've always done angel readings. And one of the commitments or the relationship guidelines, I guess, that I have with my angels, my angelic team, is they help me. This is true for everyone. This is true for all of you. Like they will help you whenever you ask. That is literally their purpose. And I want to talk a little bit about that more. But my goal here is to first tell you what they wanted to say tonight. But they help everybody. They will always help everybody who asks them, but everything is based on free will. So you do have to ask for their help. And it doesn't matter how many times a day that you ask them, or a week or a month or whatever, but you have to ask because you have free will. And so, one of the things that I just made a commitment with them when I started doing angel readings is that if they ask me to do something, because I feel like they help me much on a daily basis in my life, like even little things, which sometimes to some people feel ridiculous, but I've had times where like I'm in a hurry and I'm like have to pick up my child at school and I need to run in and do this thing. And I'm like, I need a front row parking spot so I can do this. And it happens. Like somebody will pull right out, right? And I'm like, thank you. So those little synchronicities happen, and I'm ever so grateful. So the caveat of that is that when they ask me to do angel events or angel things, I say okay. And they've done that a lot over the years. They'll ask me a lot of times to teach a workshop like at Christmas time, and I always find miraculously somebody at a wellness center or something that wants to host it, and all of a sudden the room's filled with 50 or 60 people and I've never marketed it, whatever it might be. So when they ask me to do something, then I agree. And I don't know exactly the date. I'd have to go back and look because I did type it, but sometimes I channel the angels for myself via my computer when I talk to other people. I have to translate that. But they woke me up in the middle of the night one night and told me to go get my computer, which I did, and I sat down and I typed out several pages, and it took me 3 or 4 days to go back and actually read that, because sometimes when I'm in that angelic energy, it's such a shift from like our day-to-day human life that like I didn't even want to read it. And then when I went back and read it, I was like, holy smokes, like they said so many things. But one of the things that they asked me to do is to begin, and they've actually been telling me this for a while, like nudging me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I haven't done it. And they've been telling me this for a few months. But one of the things that they have asked of me right now is that I host a Sunday evening hour with them in the format. They will change their minds, I promise. If you follow along for a while and you decide to join these here and there, obviously you don't have to commit to doing it all the time or whatever works for you. They will draw people here. That's how they work. But you will see that they will change things according to who's here and according to the agenda and according to what's going on. But the reason that they feel very strongly about this angelic hour is one, every single person on this planet has an angelic team, even the people you don't like, even the people you disagree with, even when you look out in the broader world, everybody has an angelic team. Everybody has at least one angel. In my experience, most people, at least the people that come to me for angel readings, have many angels. And also, they are, regardless of your religious or spiritual beliefs, because they are non-denominational, they are the highest energetic frequency beings besides source energy that are accessible to us as humans on this planet. We also have, I believe, galactic origins where we have starseed people and spiritual guides and other guides. They don't even want me to get into it. You can tell when I can't get the words out. They don't want me to get into that because they want this to be about them, and rightly, because their sole mission as an angelic team is to help you to live the best possible life. And they work through frequency. And I feel like if you do research, angels are the most believed in commonality of spirituality anywhere in the world. It's like over 90% of people, regardless of their denomination or their religion or their cultural background, believe in angels. And there's a reason for that because they are very real. So, what they would like me to say to you tonight before we get started is just to welcome you here and for you to understand that it is extremely important at this time in our world. It feels very doomsday and gloomsy, and it feels very overwhelming sometimes when we look out the world, regardless of the political or religious views or cultural views that you have. Like, I believe that angels are for everybody. And regardless or separate from any of my own beliefs, everybody needs to have faith and hope and belief in a more purposeful world. And what is really happening right now is that the world is shifting. And it feels doomsday sometimes or gloomy or just sometimes there's just a lot going on. But the angel's been talking to me about this since really early 2020 when COVID happened, about the shifts in the alignment and the frequency and all of the things that are happening. And that this is part of the plan. This is part of the global consciousness and awareness to shift and up-level our beings, to up-level who we are spiritually. And therefore, the reason I believe that they have asked me to do this is there are a lot of people in my circle, myself has been included in this in the last several years, where I've taken myself out of the spotlight and the limelight. I used to travel like 20 days a month. I used to teach in front of thousands of people. And I no longer felt comfortable in where I was at in my life and wanting to be in that limelight for myself. It was a kind of a withdrawal experience, but also it was an opportunity for me to really tap into some of the deep healing of who I really was, like my authentic soul self. And probably you all can relate to that, right? Because I think that regardless of our spiritual nature, our spiritual origin, we all have a physical human life and state of being that we're being called here to do. And some of us are being called here to be spiritual teachers and leaders and healers and doing these things that sometimes are deemed like higher level, which they are higher level, but everybody's human experience is relevant, and everything that anyone goes through is spiritual because we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. We have gone through a period of withdrawal, and we did that for a reason consciously as a collective consciousness. We went through that because it was a time for us to like recollect on our life, so to speak, and learn what to value differently. And so a lot of you here tonight or that will be listening to this, and they want to acknowledge that not everybody who is listening or will listen to this is with us. They are spiritually or energetically, but the first part of this I will repost. That's what they've asked me to do, is to repost this in some kind of podcast format, which I will figure out. But then I will open it up for discussion, and that will be more of a private between you and the angels or whatever it is. And so I will cut that out just so you know, because I want you to feel like you can be open to this. So this is a service that they have asked me to do, and I willingly do it because that's a relationship that the angelic realm and I have. So again, to go back to what they were saying. And so a couple of things I just want to say to you guys as you're here with me. One of the ways that I always know that I'm speaking with the angels is words just start coming out. And I usually speak more quickly. If you've noticed from when I started to now, I will pick up the pace. I've learned to temper that a little bit. When I do an angel reading one-on-one, I speak so quickly that I have to repeat myself, and angels repeat themselves a lot. Usually when you're communicating with an angel, because they will communicate in threes. So whether it's signs and symbols or things that they're giving to you, or whether it's words you're hearing or messages or symbols, whatever it is, it usually comes in three. They don't say everything in threes, but oftentimes when you get it, they'll end in three. Oftentimes when I'm channeling them, like on a computer, I'm doing an angel reading. At the end of it, they'll repeat the same thing 3 times. It's just the way that they work, and that's part of the angelic realm. Angels do not communicate in verbal words. It has to be translated. And it's one reason I think it's difficult for some people to learn how to communicate with their angels, is how they actually communicate with you is through symbols. So they love the animals and nature. And so oftentimes you'll see like a repetitive animal, or you'll see things in nature, like you'll see a bird fly right in front of you, or you'll see a coyote run across the path, or a deer. And you may see that multiple times within a small period of time, like days or weeks. That's a communication tool from them. They also like to leave things for you. They leave feathers, they leave coins, they leave signs, symbols, they play music. You might get in your car, walk in a store, and you hear the same song playing over and over again. You might be streaming and you hear the same thing. So they get your attention through repetition. They continue to try to communicate with us all of the time, but as I said, it is our free will whether or not we want to listen and acknowledge. They will not give us additional messages once we've heard a message until we do the thing that they're asking us to do. And then it's like they lay down the next part, right? Because everything works in like a succinct way. So when you feel like you're getting some kind of guidance, even if you don't know what it is, it's okay. Just acknowledge it. Just be like, oh, I think that maybe that was like some spiritual or angel communication. They want to say angel. They're very funny. They're going to very much be like geared towards angels tonight. They communicate in numbers a lot and symbols. People will see things like 444, 333, 1111. Up at this week before, I was really resisting sending out these emails. I'm going to tell you because I'm like, oh my gosh, I already have all these other projects. I'm going to overwhelm people. I'm going to bombard whatever. They're like, stop living in lack. Like, why do you do this? Every car I pulled up behind had 44 or 444 in the license plate. Like every car I'd see. And I'm like, all right. And then I started seeing cars from Utah, 444, 444. And it was funny because I don't live in Utah, but I'm from Utah originally. So I'm like, okay, I get it. And then I was like, and then I started seeing cars from Wisconsin. I don't live in Wisconsin right now, but I have a house there. So I'm like, okay, I get it, guys. Like you're telling me 444, you're getting all my attention. So just know that that is how they will communicate with you is in repetition. And all you have to do, even if you don't understand it, is just acknowledge, ah, my angels are with me, or oh, and then you can pause and say, is there something the angels would like me to know? Is there something that you guys want to help me with? Or can you help me? Probably when you see these signs and symbols, you'll be thinking about things. You'll be thinking about your relationship. You'll be thinking about money. You'll be thinking about your health. You'll be thinking about those big topics that stress out most people, that as humans that we think too much about. And of course they always tell us that what we focus on then we will begin to create in our life. So they are always trying to get our attention away from the things that we are overly focusing on that are not beneficial for us, and wanting us to focus on the things that are beneficial for us, changing the way that we look at things into a positive state, or looking at what will happen if things do work out instead of what if they don't work out. So they'll always try to shift and change the way that we look at things. And it's something that I tell, sometimes people come in and they're actually afraid to get an angel reading or to come to angel events because there's a lot of negativity about this kind of spirituality or psychic or intuitive abilities, which I understand because there is a validity to the fact that there are some people who misrepresent themselves, or they misrepresent spirituality, or they misrepresent their intuitive abilities. However, what I can tell you about the angels in almost 25 years, I guess now, of professionally like working with the angels, is that their messages are always loving. It's always guidance. It's always feels good. If you ever feel like you're connecting with something that makes you feel scary or off or whatever it might be, it's not the angels. I promise you, because their frequency is so incredibly high that you cannot feel anything but better than you feel right now when you are in angelic presence. And there's a lot of things that you'll start to notice as you uplift your frequency with the angels. You'll notice that you want to eat healthier. You really will. You'll notice you want to eat healthier. You want to eat cleaner. You want to eat less junk food, less processed food. A lot of times people want to eat less animal products. Not that eating animal products is bad, and they always want me to tell people that, because there have been some people that work with angels that say, oh, that's harmful or that's bad. And I'm not trying to project beliefs on anybody. It's just simply that's just simply the way it is. There are people on this planet who need a lot of protein and then need a lot of certain diets, or maybe that's all they have access to in their life. Maybe they live in a place where that's all they can afford is animal product, or that's their best source of protein, whatever it is. So there's no judgment from the angelic realm on that, but you will notice you start to eat healthier. You eat more for your vibrational frequency. You start to feel happier. You start to feel yourself lighter. There's a lot of things that start to happen. You might sing more. You want to listen to different music. You want to read different books. You want to watch different shows. Everything you do when you're working with your angels increases your frequency. And that's why they call it angel frequency, because how we have historically perceived angels is much differently than they actually are. They are a vibrational frequency. I want to say simply, but it's not simply. They're a vibrational frequency. And what they do most with humans animals and planet Earth because they oversee planet Earth. They oversee a lot of planets, but we have our own angelic team that oversee planet Earth. Is they're always helping with the frequency and uplifting the energy here. So they're uplifting everybody's frequency. They go into your energy field. They can work with your aura, your chakras, your meridians, all of these different matrices that we have that most people are unaware that we have. And they elevate them through methods of sacred geometry, through just vibrational light, sound, all sorts of different technologies that come from a higher level frequency that they just naturally emit, that when we're in their presence, we start to feel uplifted or elevated. And sometimes people will get warmer. If you wake up in the night and you're warm, or you are talking to your angels and all of a sudden you feel warm, that is a sign that they are in your presence because their frequency is very high. So other things I want to say tonight, in particularly as we kick this off, in terms of angelic frequency, is that they don't want me to go there. So never mind. I'm not going to say that. Okay. So they've told me to stop introducing all of that part of them, and they want to get into the people that are here and specific message for this evening for starting off this very night is what they say. And I will tell you that angels often, when they translate, it sounds a little archaic. If you've ever been religious or biblical and you've remember hearing how some of the angels would talk to people, they sometimes use funny language. It depends on the angel and how much that they work with planet Earth, but it may be that way. I do my best to translate. So taking you back to what I was saying before, they work through translation of frequency. So it's different for everybody. Sometimes I see pictures, I see them, I can actually see them in my outside of me, like talking to me and telling me things. But most of the time, it's just taking my whole life, my whole professional life has been working in frequency. So oftentimes it's just me taking the frequency that they're emitting and I pull that in and translate to the best of my ability what exactly they're saying. And they will repeat it multiple times until it is finally heard, whether that be by me or the people I'm talking to. That's how they work. Let's get started here just for a minute. The message that they want to say, and they say they'll keep it quick tonight because they want the ability, if you have any questions or thoughts or concern, anything that you'd like to ask the angels, generalized or personalized, they'd be willing to answer that this evening. But what they would like me to start with is a feeling of hope, is what they say. So they want to tell you to remember when you were a very small child and you felt hopeful, that we lose that innocence, but to remember back to when you were a child and you had a very hopeful nature about you. And then when you looked at the world, all that you saw was possibility. They say that the people here tonight are struggling more with health, that there's a lot of health on their mind, feeling like they're in constructs in their body where they don't feel as good as they did when they were a young child, and that there's a lot of beliefs about that health that is prevailing, meaning that as we believe certain things, it actually will start to create that within our body. What they want everyone to know that will be listening to this is that our health is a representation of our mind and of the beliefs and of the blocks that we have in being able to communicate more clearly with our spiritual or our soul self. Every single person that comes to planet Earth has a soul that has existed for eons, for eternity. That soul incarnates in this lifetime in order to evolve and have life experience, because in the eternal ethers, there is no physical expression. It's all just pure light. We make really clear decisions to come and to evolve into these physical beings. So spiritual beings having a physical experience, but we perceive it as a physical being in order to feel things more deeply. Where I want to say problem, they don't want to say problem, because the angels will never talk like that. So let me back up. So what they want you to look at is, what are the beliefs that you've learned in this lifetime that are contributing to the things in your health? So they want you to look at different resources. One of the things that I'm hearing from them is Louise Hay. So if you don't know who Louise Hay is, please look her up. But looking at books or resources or spiritual teachers or mentors or coaches, people who can help you start to delineate or figure out what is going on in your physical body based on the emotions and the beliefs that are attached to it. The angels want everyone here to know that health is relative, meaning that there is no age limit, there is no certain conditions of life that make you healthy or not healthy, that it simply is a state of mind, that as you live with a healthy mind, when you live free from judging yourself, when you live full of life, full of hopefulness, like when you were a little child, a young child, that health becomes restored. Health is poor health, or that's not what they want me to say, but it's an inflexibility. Okay. It's an inflexibility within yourself that you have adopted beliefs that are challenging you. And so, what they would like to ask everybody who will be listening to this, including people who are with us here tonight, is to look at the areas of your life that you feel disjointed from, that you feel are problems or they're hurtful, or places in your life where it feels like you have had problems in the past. And they want you to look at it with eyes of love. They want you to see things differently. They want you to see things as like an adventure or a journey. If you remember when you were a young child, when your parents would tell you you were going to go on this little trip or like a vacation, or you were going to go out somewhere, you just went along. You went along for it. It was like, okay, yeah, let's do this thing. And you lived the experience through eyes of observation and eyes of love and playfulness and joy, not through trying to garner meaning out of it or trying to decide what it meant for you or what would happen in the future. So an experience was just an experience. It didn't have to mean anything else. And what they tell me, what they've often actually said this to me about adults on this planet, is that we get to a certain stage where we believe we should have it all figured out, and we believe that we should be able to dictate and activate how every single thing goes all day, every day. And when we're not able to do that, it creates a lot of rigidity within us. That rigidity then turns into blocks in our energy field, in our physical body, and in our auric field. And those blocks are all conditioned by the beliefs and the emotions that we're experiencing. So, what they would like for people to do is, instead of being focused in controlling the day-to-day life, maybe looking at it from a different observable perspective, meaning how would you look at it through eyes of love, or how would you look at it through eyes of a child? Would you see it all differently? If you could look at all the experiences of your life with a fresh perspective every time, instead of, like they're telling me, for instance, if you have a partner and you're looking at your partner, or you're looking at a parent, or you're looking at a child, so they bring up these like closer familial relationships, and you look at things that are happening between you as a result of what's already happened. It influences negatively how you perceive this moment. Every moment is a new moment. Every single moment is a new moment. And so if you're looking at the person from a place of your old self and then your today self, you're actually convoluting the truth or the reality of the experience. They want you to look at it all as it's a new experience. So instead of thinking back to the old hurts or the old pains or the old wounds or the old problems, or how many times you've done this over and over again with people, they want you to actually look at it as a clear, new, fresh perspective. Like you're a child where your parents say, we're going to Disneyland for the first time, and you don't even really know what it is, but you're going along and you feel excited because they feel excited, or you feel whatever you think you're supposed to feel as a child, and you go and it's wow, it's better than you can imagine. And they want you to be able to look at every single experience, every single day, as a new day, as a new perspective, in particular with people and relationships. Because what they're telling me very specifically for the people that are engaged energetically with this message tonight is that a lot of people's health problems are actually connected to relationship problems and the beliefs they have about the people in their life. So that's really interesting to me. And that's it. Just like that, they are gone. Okay, that's something to really think about. I don't know if I've even thought about that ever that way, that like your physical, I know that your physical health is directly related to your belief system and to your emotions. I know both the energetic and the science perspective of that, given the other work that I do, but I don't think I've ever thought about that in a way of look at the relationships and the beliefs you have about them and how you put yourself in the middle of that to then perceive some of the health issues you're having in your body and in your life, and how are they interrelated or interconnected. And I guess it makes sense because if you think about kids, that was their big analogy tonight. Children just live their life freely. It's like they get sick and then they're better and they're up and running around and they have this negative experience in 5 minutes, they're like fine again and they're not really thinking about it. It's not till we get older and have more concrete cognitive thinking in the way that it's abstract thinking, because as our brain changes at about 7, 6, 7, 8 years old, we go from concrete thinking, which means all we know is what's happening in this moment. And then we move to abstract thinking, which is perceiving what could happen, the possibilities, we have more conscious awareness that there's a life or world outside of this experience we have. But the problem with that is we then also want to start projecting our fears, our anxieties, our worries on the future and on the past, and it convolutes everything. So I guess it all makes sense to me. I would say probably the people that can relate to this, again, in this energy field, either on the call tonight or who will be watching it, it makes a lot of sense. It's essentially what they're saying is the struggles you're having with your health are related to the struggles you have in your beliefs and relationships. And that in order to heal that, part of it is starting to look through eyes of love and adopt that childlike self again. And angels tell people that a lot. That is a very common theme from any teacher that you will talk to that works with the angels. They're always trying to get us to lighten up. Life isn't that serious. Lighten up, have a lot more fun. That's why you're really here. Okay, so that was 30 minutes that flew by. I can't even believe it. Like I said, I go out of my body a little bit with that. I am going to stop recording